So it has been quite the experience the past year when it comes to the Packers kicker situation. It felt like them bringing in Anders Carlson, 6th-round draft pick, that, okay, maybe this can be the guy to replace Mason Crosby. There were some concerns when you look at his college stats, but part of me was thinking, okay, the Packers, they probably know what they're doing. Going with a guy in the 6th round, they probably know what they're doing. That did not work out. Anders was released. Greg Joseph also released. So the battle between Joseph and Carlson did not really end as I thought. In the end, Brayden Narveson comes in and wins the job out of absolutely nowhere. So, very interesting situation here with the Packers kicker. Still somewhat uncertain. It just comes down to, can Narveson come in and be a good kicker? Unsure. I made a video about him earlier today, breaking down some more, and I'll touch on it a little bit more. But I want to share what Brett Favre had to say about the Packers kicker battle. He responded to a tweet from Cheesehead TV. And this is a tweet from Cheesehead TV on August 27th. It says, the Packers are asking anyone with kicking experience to report to 1265 Lombardi Avenue, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54304. So us Packers fans, a little bit, worried when it comes to what the heck is going to happen at kicker after, Anders was released. And Brett Favre responded to that tweet, and he said, let Jordan go for it on 4th down every time. I think that obviously depends on the where you are on the field, and I would assume that's a joke from Brett Favre, because going for it every single time, probably not the best idea. I guess it depends on your kicker and what his field goal percentage is. But Matt LaFleur did say earlier today in a press conference that the kicker situation is going to affect his play calling. Let me read this tweet here. It says, this is from Matt Schneidman. Matt LaFleur on getting Brayden Narveson acclimated to kick week 1. LaFleur says, not a question for me. That is a question for Rich Bisaccia. You just got to come in and perform. I don't know how else to put it. So basically, you just need to make field goals. Simple, but not always easy. And then it says, could kicker situation affect play calling? LaFleur says, absolutely, 100%. No different than when you go out there, and there's inclement weather. So LaFleur is going to take into account what's happening here at kicker. I think it comes down to, how much do they trust Brayden Narveson? I think we just have to wait and see what happens here and see what happens in the first few weeks. Is he right on? Is he making kicks? Is he not making kicks? Because as Brett Favre mentioned, when you have an offense as good as the Packers offense, I think that it gives you the ability to go for it more than maybe some other teams would, just because of how good your offense is. And obviously it comes down to situation. Where are you on the field? How long is the field goal? How many yards do you need to get? Is it 4th and 1? Is it 4th and 2? Is it 4th and 7? And obviously that affects every single decision that these play callers make day in and day out. But when you are concerned about your kicker making field goals, I could see why Matt LaFleur would be hesitant to just, assume like it's a 50-yard field goal, just assume that we're going to kick the ball. And I think I would understand that more so with Anders Carlson. You look last year at his stats, he was 50% from 40-yard field goals, which I feel like not very high. Greg Joseph also last year was 50% from 40-yard field goals. Narveson was actually better, at least during his time in college, from 40-yard field goals. And so maybe that changes here. And so if we look at the Packers and their conversions last year on 4th down, I was just curious because I saw Brett Favre's tweet and I was like, obviously, they're not going to go for it on every 4th down. But what if they did? Is that a terrible idea? I think it probably would be. But the Packers last year were 16th in the NFL on 4th down conversions at 50%. So sort of a coin flip last year when it comes to 4th down conversions. So, if you're trying to make a 50-yard field goal, depending on the circumstances of the game, you got a coin flip to get a 1st down. It's probably also a coin flip to make a kick, at least last year. Maybe that changes. And so I don't expect them to go for it every time, but LaFleur is definitely going to take it into consideration, depending on the what's happening in the game at that point, which LaFleur always would do, but especially now just with the uncertainty at kicker. And so my hope is that Narveson comes in and just is lights out, just nails every single field goal. The Packers kicker worries are behind us, and out of nowhere, we got lucky with the Titans deciding to move on from a guy just because they still had Nick Folk on their roster. That's the hope here. The hope is that just as Mason Crosby became a legend here in Green Bay over the years, and you felt pretty comfortable come playoff time with Mason Crosby out there, hopefully Narveson is that guy. As a Packers fan, that's what we want. Why would we not want that? We're going to wait and see. Come week 1, come week 2, come week 3. I feel like Anders Carlson, to start last year, was somewhat good early in the season. And it was later in the year where, for whatever reason, just became very, very inconsistent. From what I've saw from some of these stats from Narveson, let me just read you some of them if you haven't heard his stats from college, which I shared in another video. But he was 78% for his field goals overall during his college career. And 78% in college isn't too bad. You look at Anders in college, he was 71.8. Greg Joseph in college was 69.5%. So he was better than both of those guys when it comes to college. In the NFL, Greg Joseph, 82.6%. Anders, 81.8%. That was last year for Anders. That was Greg Joseph's career percentage. And I brought up in the other video, that kickers seem to do better in the NFL, at least looking at these two guys. And one of you brought up the fact that the hashes in college football are much wider, so that's why guys get better in the NFL. And I hadn't thought about that, to be honest. I don't watch a ton of college football, but that is a very good point. And so the fact that he was that good in college, made every single extra point, I'm feeling somewhat optimistic about Narveson here in Green Bay. You look at his preseason, played pretty good, 6-7, made a 59-yarder. His only miss was a 58-yarder. And in college, from 40 to 49 yards, he was 26 of 32, which is 81%. Considering last year, both Anders and Greg Joseph were for 50%. It could be that Matt LaFleur doesn't have to go for fourth downs as much as he thinks he may with the uncertain kicker situation. So we're still just sort of in wait and see mode, and I'm in wait and hope mode. Hope for the best. Hope that Narveson is a Packers legend in the making. That's what I hope every time the Packers sign someone. Doesn't always work out, but in this case, we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens. And hopefully the Packers found their guy. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe. You can also turn on the notifications so you don't miss any content. And you can follow me on Twitter at LukeBeller3 if you use Twitter. I share other Packers stuff over there. And so you can check that out. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.